For the murder of the wounded, looting, cannibalism, you are hereby sentenced to death by hanging. Or torment.
Don't meddle. Take the reward and let's go.
Help me!
Knew you witches wouldn't scorn imperial gold. Tough hunt.
Tougher than yours, that's certain. Evil is evil. Lesser, greater, middling, makes no difference.
Can't fit me.
Bring her down. Do it my way. You like that, you bitch? Get the hammer. Kick her teeth in.
The degree is arbitrary, the definition's blurred. If I'm to choose between one evil and another, I'd rather not choose at all.
Just make it quick, Geralt.
What the?
Close your eyes.
Hit him! What are you doing?
Killing monsters.
Alright, welcome to episode 13 of The Witcher. And Ten Blades was dead. His body was beaten in the muck by Zavis, but not all was well. In the fighting, Devnet lost an arm, and Eiry's sister, Greta, lost an eye. The last 2 weeks have been spent convalescing in Brunfenshire. These days have been painful, sad, and exhausting. The doctor, bard, and archer have been through a great deal over the last few weeks, but now their future is unclear, as their goal has been met, but alas, with severe consequences. Switch you over and do Devnet first. There we go. Have at it, Slip.
Back in a tavern room, beams of late afternoon sunlight illuminate the clean wooden floors, tables, and chairs of various heights. Small rotund halfling with a cheerful demeanor enters and gives the young woman scrubbing the bar a wide smile of greeting. It's the mayor, Sybil Eddington. The girl starts to return the smile when both are startled by loud thunk. They both turn toward the sound, which is repeated after a moment. Thunk. It is coming from the back of the tavern, where a few rooms are rented out. Sybil's smile turns into a grimace, and he shakes his head. Wordlessly, he dons an apron and takes over bar duties. The noise is nothing new, and doesn't seem likely to stop anytime soon. In the back of the inn, in a small private room, Devnet is seated in a chair near the door, grey eyes focused deeply on her target. Her dark braids are tight, but oddly askew, as if a blind woman had been doing her hair. In truth, a blind woman had been doing her hair. The archer's right arm ends above the elbow and is still bandaged up. In her left hand she holds a slim blade, a throwing knife. In the far wall, 3 similar blades lie deeply embedded in a board that has been nailed crudely to it. Around the board, the wall is nicked and scarred by deep cuts and gouges. Devnet rarely misses the board these days, but that is after weeks of practice. She walks over to retrieve the blades, passing a well-worn sword lying near the bed. It has also seen much use these past weeks, despite Eiry's orders to stay in bed and rest. The throwing knives form a tight cluster on the board. Devnet nods, satisfied. Still, she is far from pleased. Knives. Pho. A child's weapon. A wee lass's defence. No proper replacement for a good bow. But what choice do I have? She reminds herself for the 1000th time. Adapt, or go back to Skellige and start popping at babbies like father had wanted. Dev gathers up the sharp little blades and sheathes them in a row along her thigh. She picks up the sword, peers out the window at the setting sun. Still some light. Can probably talk the guard captain into a bit of blade work. She prefers his dour reluctance to the false optimism she encounters from everyone else. That buckler looks right ridiculous on the stump, and any blow that it stops hurts like hell. No matter. Pain is pain. At least that ache is real. The concerning pains were the ones that came from below the stump. Like the ghost of her arm was still there, haunting her, striking whenever she managed to let go for a moment and forget about all she'd lost. The good doctor said this was normal. It did not feel normal. Zavis did his best to cheer, encourage, and distract. It was infuriating. The more he tried to help, the more she snapped and snarled. She couldn't find the words to describe how humiliated she felt. She was a trained warrior, an experienced mercenary, and a master of her craft. One blow of Ten-Blade's sword had almost killed her. A single blow. And once again, it was Zavis who came to her rescue, just like he had so many years ago on Skellige. And he killed Ten-Blades with his bare hands. Dev knows that her anger is irrational. She and Zav had fought back to back for years on years now. They had saved each other so many times and on so many occasions that she had lost track long ago. But this felt different. Maybe it was just the arm. Maybe she was taking it out on him because he presented the easiest target. The person she wanted to strike was dead, forever beyond her reach. Maybe she was just afraid. Afraid that without her bow, she would be a burden to Zavis, and their days of wandering the world together would soon come to an end. Dev grits her teeth and swallows back the threatening tears, determined not to let her weak emotions get the best of her. Through the window, she hears faint strains of the lyre. Greta, Eiry's sister, was getting better. Zav was a decent teacher, patient and cheerful. She sighs, determines to let up on him a bit. If she succeeded in pushing him away, she truly would have nothing left. On the way out of the inn, Dev gives Sybil a wave and her best attempt at a smile. These good folk of Banffenshire had gone out of their way to help, from Slim sharing his throwing techniques to free room and board at the tavern. She felt fairly certain that the mayor would have aided them, even without his peculiar fascination with Dev's long legs and head-height buttocks. He was a bit strange, but a man you could count on. Outside the inn, she spots Eiry's fiery red hair. She is watching her sister from a distance, a thoughtful look on her face. Dev had been trying to convince her to leave for some time, and yet she lingered, unwilling to move on until she felt Greta was ready. The townspeople were content enough to harbor them, but it was only a matter of time before the Justicar caught up. Zavis was full of plans these days, talking non-stop about his elf wizard friend Akinsha. She had proven helpful in the past, rounding out Dev's ears with her arcane ways. But regrowing an arm? Dev was not naive enough to believe that was within her abilities. Still, Zav was convinced that she would be able to help in some way, maybe point them in the right direction. Perhaps it was time to move on. Though she did not share Zavis's hopeful outlook, the road had been her home for many years, and it was calling to her, louder, all the time.
Outside, the scene switches and Zavis Go ahead, Aki.
Yep. A soft grunt echoed over the Resk hillock. The sun was high in the sky, shining down and cascading through the leaves of a lush apple tree. Another grunt, followed by the clatter of wood. Birds sang as if to encourage, and the scent of green pastures and vibrant flowers masked the subtle scent of sweat that wafted over. Another grunt and clatter, followed by a woman's soft giggle. Atop the hill, the view cascades for miles, filling the eye with abundance and affirming the source of the many colorful scents upon the wind. Ah! Zavis's voice echoed over the fields as the clunk of the cart settled down. He breathed deep and heavy, taking the yoke from his shoulders and letting it thud against the dense grass. For fuck's sake, I feel sorry for the lads you usually have do this, he gasped, grabbing his shirt from the cart and mopping up the sweat on his head and then torso. The young halfling woman smiled and laughingly spoke. Well, that would be the mule that you insisted have a well-deserved rest day. She beamed towards Zavis as his eyes caught her rather fixated gaze. There was a momentary inclination before his guilt tore his mind away from thoughts that would lay beneath her rather open white shirt and soft burgundy pants. Well, shite. I think I should hurry back to the tavern. Promised Greta I'd get back to the lessons once I was done. He spoke in a hurry, grabbing his pack from atop the car and leaving a young woman stumbling for a means to delay him, only imagining a thanks in the end. Over another hill and out of sight, Zavis finally sprawled alongside the riverbank. Thoughts of himself with the woman from before muddled his head. After all, it's rare he has opportunities to be the tall one. Then, again, the image of Devnet's arm being cleaved from her by 10 blades rushed to mind. All that hurt that was on her face every time he tried to help her. The sorrow she tried to hide when the phantom pain started up without warning, as if reliving it all over again. The way she would instinctively reach on occasion, only to realize that there was nothing to reach with. And then there was Greta. As the thought came to his mind, Zavis twisted and growled, tumbling forward as he lurched up, coming to a rest in the water, soaked through. Oh, fuck. He exhaled. It was his fault. If he'd been faster, if he'd been stronger, if he'd have gone out alone, left them, if they'd only ever done perfectly as he said, if they had all just left instead, if she had just fallen from the chair before they got there. Guilt raised Zavis's mind as he sat there, tears mixing with the water. The image of 10 blades inhaling the bog muck crossed his mind. The sound of it as it filled his throat each time he tried to breathe. At a start, Zavis recoiled back from the water, coughing and clutching his throat. Zavis had killed before, many times, though rarely intending death itself, and never without good cause to do so. But this was not simple killing. This was not defense. It was murder. He wanted him to suffer. Memories of his lost lover Maeva, many years ago, and what he did to the bandits that were responsible, flooded him. His expression grew from sorrowful to something more cold, less fresh. He knew none of it was their fault. He hated himself for not being able to do better. He hated 10 blades for existing. He hated Dryden for not hunting him down in the first place. He hated himself again for blaming him, not thinking to make him come. He hated himself for thinking deep down that it would have been better to let Greta hang or burn than for Dev to lose an arm. Finally, after a while laying there on the hillside along the river, flowers and fruiting plants filling the nostrils and the sun, drying him with its warmth. Zavis stood. He breathed deeply and began to walk along the river towards the tavern. He may have many things on his mind. He may be filled with guilt and hate, but he knew such things pass. He's lived through anguish before, and he will again, each time growing a little more jaded. But hell, if he was going to just let the world lay him low. As a halfling couple passed Zavis on the path he stepped onto, he smiled, a deep and true smile, as though defying the world itself. He was not one to give up, and if anyone knew someone who could do something about Dev's arm, it would be Oxenia. She may not be a healer, but she was the best damned illusionist Zavis had ever met, and surely a sorceress of her caliber would be able to point their way. And, until then, Zavis would continue hauling carts, tending fields, and training every time he was out of Dev's sight, till he was faster, stronger, until he was good enough that no one would ever be able to hurt those he loved ever again. Forever.
Go ahead, Ori.
Eiry hadn't given herself time to reflect much on her own emotions since the encounter with Ten Blades. The doctor's focus had been almost completely on Devnet and Greta and their recovery. She'd been taught years ago the importance of compartmentalizing as a doctor, and for the most part she's been able to keep a clear head and a strong focus in regards to patients so personal. It's been easier with Devnet. Eiry could tend to her needs without much verbal interaction apart from the occasional instruction or inquiry into her pain. She could see the frustrations with accepting her new life and took it as a cue to give the woman her space to process. Everyone coped with these situations differently. Despite their shared time together and the friendship that formed within her heart, Eiry needed to be the doctor, and only just that for right now. Greta ripped at her soul like icy fingers, slowly tearing through her heart, as if it were a crisp parchment. She could feel pieces stripped away in her core when she looked upon the scarred face of her sister, now mostly covered by her headband used as a blindfold. Out of her siblings, she was the closest with her twins, but perhaps closest to Greta since she liberated her from an awful situation years ago. Eiry struggled to keep as cool of a head around Greta as she had with Devnet, possibly due with the build-up of guilt surrounding the loss of her other eye, or that she was even in such a predicament in the first place. Had she heeded Ten Blade's words, perhaps her family would have never been a victim. Perhaps all of the Driscoll caravan could only be suffering the loss of just one little boy, rather than... She didn't really know the full extent of the caravan's fate. She wasn't able to check before she left. Her thoughts drift between the Justicar and the well-being of her sister. Leaning against the exterior of the inn, Eiry watches her sister attempt to weave a wicker basket just by the feel of it. Greta had a determination to push past the newly acquired blindness in her own way, though not unlike how Devnet was learning to adapt with the loss of her right arm. Truth be told, Eiry didn't have to stick around as long as she has. Her care as a doctor ended as soon as they were able to manage on their own, which, given their resolve, came quickly. Zavis was more capable and far better qualified to protect the two women, but she lingers, unable to relinquish herself from the duties of protecting her sister, yet conflicted in knowing she needed to handle the next obstacle that complicated not only her life, but the lives of the people around her. Fingers pulling through the mess of red curls, Eiry stands quietly with growing resolve as she watches her sister weave the wicker reeds. She knows she needs to be as determined as Devnet and Greta in overcoming her own obstacles.
Okay. That's everybody, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Greta continues to weave, looking down as if she is actually looking at the basket. Of course, clearly she is not. When she hears someone approach, her head cocks backwards and she turns instinctively in that direction. Eiry? Dev? Zavis, is that you?
I'm here, Greta.
She exhales. Ah, I suppose that might be the thing that I will never get used to, not knowing who is there. She puts her basket aside and stands up, reaching out for Eiry's shoulder.
Eiry's going to quickly come to her aid.
How are the others?
Oh, well, they're all recovering on their own. Devnet seems to be doing fine. And Eiry's going to kind of nod to Devnet, like quietly acknowledging her presence.
Oh, I'm here too, Greta, and I'm doing well. You did a fine job braiding my hair this morning.
I much doubt it, but I suppose it looks good enough to me.
Well, it's far better than I could have managed on my own.
She gives a faint smile. Well, I say that I am growing a bit tired. I should get some sleep. A nap, perhaps.
Oh, that'll do you some good.
She nods. Oh, the mayor was about. He was looking for you.
Oh, is that so? Well, we'll find him, don't you worry. You get your nap. You've been working hard.
She nods, and one of the halflings that have been working the bar and semi-helping with Greta takes her hand and leads her inside, leaving the three of you alone as Zavis makes his way towards the inn as well.
Oh, I think I see Zavis coming in.
How's Zavis looking?
He looks tired. He kind of approaches and kind of quite brazenly, almost bashes through the door practically. Oh, hey girls. You can see the sweat kind of still sticking to his brow here and there, and his white shirt kind of hung over a shoulder more than anything. How's everything doing?
Oh, fine, but you seem to have been working up a sweat show enough for the ladies around.
Oh, I have to keep them enticed. You know how it is. How do you think I'll make coin with no clients?
Well, I'm not sure there's that much coin to be had around here, but I suppose it doesn't hurt to keep in practice.
Aye, exactly. It's doing well enough, I suppose. How about you two? What are you up to?
Well, I've just been looking after Greta, making sure she's, doing all right.
Aye, that's good. She is getting better. with the layer. It's not bad.
I heard. Thank you for teaching her. I think she's really taken to it and enjoys the music.
I... well, I certainly don't mind. He kind of turns and gives a nod and wave to one of the halflings kind of tending the bar area and motions for them to bring a drink as he sits down at the table.
So you guys are going inside. 1 second.
Oh, yeah.
You head into the bar. And Zavis immediately motions in that direction. And notice that Slim is working. He nods by this point, knowing everyone's drinks of choice. Only a moment there. And he begins to pour the drinks, prepare them.
Devnet walks up to the bar and leans on it a little bit. Well, Slim, have you seen Sybil? Apparently he's been looking for us.
Oh, haven't seen him in a few hours, I think. Not sure where he got off to.
Well, he'll turn up eventually. He knows where to find me, generally.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt about that. He gives a forced smile. Well, you just take a load off, sit down there, lass, and I'll have your spirits in no time.
Is he acting suspicious?
Why don't you give me a human perception roll?
Let me find it again.
It should be under empathy. Not suspicious per se, but perhaps a little awkward at having the three of you there, particularly talking to Devnet with her stump. Just a bit off, not his usual jovial self. Like he doesn't know exactly how to act.
Okay. Eiry's going to look over to Zavis and Devnet. Well, I guess we have some time to kill before he comes around, I suppose.
I suppose so.
What have you been up to, Zavis?
Oh, just not much. Been kinda, like I said, scouting the clientele a little bit, and you can see he's kind of a bit restrained as he speaks. Just helping out, They're really taking good care of us, so figured I might as well do my part, right?
Oh, that they have. Devnet pulls a chair out, sits in it, and awkwardly scooches it in. Eiry, sit down. Take a load off.
All right. Eiry's going to sit down next to Devnet.
As you all sit down, Slim rounds the bar with a tray. He carries it with no grace whatsoever, like Gendra has been taught. He holds it mostly balanced on his belly. And he slides it onto the table. Well, there you go. As usual, on the house, per Sybil's orders. I do accept tips, of course.
Oh, I know. Zavis kind of reaches into the shirt that's kind of now set on the table in kind of a pile almost. Kind of digs through one of the pockets and flicks a coin up towards Edwin.
He snatches it, in the air. Well, you want that laundered there, do you, long legs? Nods to the shirt.
Sure.
He reaches out and grabs it with his thumb and pointer finger, and... Oh, this is a smelly one. Going to have to get Gindrel to take care of this, I think.
Oh. Oh, you should be more kind to the lass. Poor thing.
Well, perhaps you should not soak yourself in your own sweat there, Longlegs.
It's fine. I mean, how else do you think I'm going to end up like this? He kind of flexes his rather crisp-looking abs nowadays.
Edwin looks down at his very sizable paunch, and he smacks it. Well, I've got one big one of those.
Well, I suppose one big one does usually do a number of smaller ones, doesn't it?
Well, all you'll have to do is keep drinking the ale and eating the food around here, and stop working so hard, and you'll get there soon.
I suppose I will. It's all well and good. I suppose I best get a start, though. And he kind of sighs a little bit and takes a swig of his drink. A rather strong-smelling thing he managed to concoct with Edwin earlier in the week. Something of peach and dwarven spirits.
Well, I'll be back. I'm going to take this shirt out back, and Gendra will take care of it when she comes around later this afternoon. I'll only be gone a while.
Thank you.
He nods, scoops up the shirt, and looks to Devnet and Eiry. Oh, do you have any need to launder your shirts, ladies? He gives a wry smile.
Oh, I think this one will do for now, but thanks for asking.
I think I might be alright, but thank you.
He chuckles. I thought you said you wanted the mayor to come about. That's what have him running quite quick, I think.
Zavis nearly snorts some of his drink out as he hears that.
Oh, I'll be back. He turns and nods. If you have anything you want to say, you can. I think I cut somebody off.
No, that's alright.
Gives a wave and walks out the back, leaving the three of you completely alone here while everyone else is in the fields or doing whatever they do during the day.
Devnet looks down at her own abdomen, kind of rubs a hand over it, making sure that she's not growing a paunch. I don't think I've ever stood well. It's been a while since we stayed in one place this long. Can't remember the last time.
Aye, well, it has been a bit, hasn't it? Now I think of that. Aye.
On occasion I would stay with the caravan for 2 weeks.
You must have seen some lovely things, though, at least.
Yeah,
Any particularly interesting places?
Very few actually. But you know, there's lots to see, and honestly, it's kind of hard to really pin down which location is the best. You know, it's apples to oranges.
Where do you see yourself going from here?
I don't know. Perhaps, I don't know. I've been thinking about the Justicar.
I think we all have.
Hey, I suppose so.
I'm honestly surprised he hasn't tried anything since we've been here. Maybe he
Well,
doesn't know that we're here.
I think maybe we've been sheltered by these good folk in more ways than one.
I think so as well. They've been good to us, that's for sure. It's only a matter of time.
And Devnet takes another sip of her drink. As good as the drink and food is here, and as generous as they are, I can't really justify taking it any longer. I think soon I'll have to be moving on myself.
Aye, we'll be getting soon enough. I don't think that'll be a problem. If all goes well. I think
Well, we're
we
gonna
could-
stick together, right?
Oh, of course, of course. He kind of smiles and gives a nod to Devnet. Can I tear us apart if you wanted to?
Devnet lets a little smile cross her face for a moment. I wish you could stay with us, girl, but I fear that it would only put you in more danger than you currently are in. They may not be looking for a woman with one arm, but they're still looking for a dwarf. You're welcome to stay with us for as long as you want, but it is something to take into consideration.
No, honestly, I've been considering going off and dealing with that, but I think, given circumstances, it might be best if we go our separate ways for a little while, at least.
Devnet
Aye.
nods.
It's a shame.
You can always find a way to get in touch with us if you need be. We've given you the name and location of our home away from home in Gildare. Can always leave word for us.
Aye. I'll treat you well as well if you do stop in, I'm sure.
As a matter of fact, if we don't hear from you soon enough, even with just oh, I'm doing fine sort of a letter, well, we may just have to go looking for you and make sure you're okay.
I'll
Aye.
figure out a way, but I think perhaps I'd need to figure out a way to do it subtly, or I could put the Justicar on your scent too, and I'd rather him follow me than you.
Of course, but I
don't know
trust
if I
your
agree, honestly. I don't like that fella. I got a bad feeling about the whole thing.
I've been thinking about what you've said, Zav, about your wizard friend.
Oh, aye, actually, yeah, aye. I'm sure she could, she must know someone, I'm sure. Figure something out.
Devnet frowns. Well, I don't know about that, and I don't like to get my hopes up, but... She shrugs. We haven't seen her in a while, and... It couldn't hurt, could it?
Aye, exactly. And if you can get the hopes up, then, well, I'll do the hoping for both of us, huh? Sounds good. Besides, I mean, no harm in it if she didn't know anyone, right? Could just move along and see what else we hear.
I suppose the price we pay is putting up with her airy babble for however long the visit lasts.
Aye, that's fine. I mean, just think that's all you have to put up with, right? It's been a while since the tower. And they certainly put up with a lot more than the airy babble then.
It's true. She's a good sort. Just
Aye,
takes a
aye.
bit of getting used to.
How'd you meet her?
Oh, well, suffice to say it was, my line of work, right?
Oh, okay.
Aye, she can get clingy.
Is this a good relation to resurface?
What do you mean? I mean, we do a toss in the hay now and again, right? And, well, I try to keep it, strictly client-based, but, well, she's persuasive as well, so.
Well, Zavis is never really all that hard to persuade.
He kind of rolls his eyes a bit and it doesn't really lack any gazes. Well, you know.
Ah, well, what a blessing it is to enjoy one's line of work.
Hey. Certainly helps. But aye, I figured that's our best plan of action, and if nothing else, who knows, fuck's sake. Maybe we find something else up near Brooklyn.
I
I
think we
think
should
I'd pay good
let...
money for something to do. I'm getting twitchy. It's just sit.
What were you saying, Ori?
I was just thinking, do you think we should let Dryden know we got rid of a problem for him?
Aye.
Do you think he would care?
I don't know if he'd care, but it's one less thing for him to worry about, I suppose. I've written up a couple of things and scrapped them, I don't know. He kind of looks a bit off in his own head a bit as he's speaking there. But I suppose I can get something written up and send it out to him. Unless you want to. I mean, I don't mind.
Oh no. I don't think we're that close.
I don't know. I mean, he got on better with you than he did me for some time. For fuck's sake, I've never seen him put all that much emotion forward, so suffice to say it's a bit of a leap, I think.
I have to agree, for him to show anything toward anyone is pretty significant.
Aye, and I think everyone's heard the stories of witches, right? I mean, fuck's sake. Stamina if nothing else.
I suppose... How do you even know where he is? How do you write to someone you don't know where they...
Oh, well, it's complicated. It requires a good bit of money, a good number of letters, and kind of guesstimating, I suppose. And also just giving out a good description. But usually if you cast a net, right, you'll catch fish. Maybe not the right one, but one that'll get the fish you're looking for to come closer.
I might. I'm not sure. I've kind of gotten disenchanted with getting tangled up in Witcher affairs.
I admit it's, nigh the past. I've had some, well, at the very least heard some rather awful things, so caution is a good thing, after all.
Devnet turns and looks at Eiry with kind of an intense look. Well, now that we've talked about all this, it's time to ask the important question. Are you gonna keep the hair, or are you gonna dye it or cut it?
Oh, I've been wondering that as well, right?
Eiry is kind of toying with a lock of hair close to her cheek in debate, and she's staring a little off to the side, not really knowing which one to go for, and then she lets the curl spring back into its kind of haphazard coil. It's a good question. I suppose I don't think there'd be enough dye for her this long. Perhaps perhaps I've got to cut it.
I don't know. I mean,
Or perhaps if I just keep my hair this way, it can be a way to guide the Justicar away from you. Then he'd know.
I think
Oh,
it's
girl.
that bad.
Yeah. No. Don't be thinking about protecting us. You do what it takes to protect yourself. We'll be fine. We've got each other. You'll be out there all alone.
Yeah, exactly. I honestly don't much like the idea you on the road on your lonesome, given all the shite we've gone through, but...
I'm sure I can, The caravan wasn't exactly, innocent. I'm sure you've caught on to that, Zavis, but...
I mean, define innocent, right?
Well, we did have more criminal connections that I could perhaps
Oh,
look into. Perhaps
really?
a bodyguard of some sort.
I suppose that could work. Aye.
Oh, well, I didn't know you had such resources, but I think that might be a good idea. Someone who's used to laying low and...
Well, I never really... I connected with them more out of my work, but I didn't really approve of it all. But, I was loyal to the caravan, and I saved a few lives and patched up a few. They probably won't see me as something terrible. Maybe.
Aye, I mean, that's good connections to have, really. You know, I'm sure they must... Sorry, it's back to the hair thing. But honestly, I'm sure there must be sunny around here, right? That they grow, that would dye it well enough.
Oh, I'm sure that our herbalist friend, our healer down the road, surely she could come up with something.
Aye.
Your words are interrupted as the door swings open and in walks the mayor, Sybil. His face is a bit tight. He almost has a frown on his face. Oh, lass. Well, there you all are. Old Sybil's been looking for you. I guess I should have known that she'd be here, huh? Well, there's a bit of a problem, I'm afraid.
What do you mean, a problem? Sybil, everything alright? I mean...
Well, you see, once all this went down, Conrad Hickey, he had one of his men patrol the roads outside the town. Make sure no one was sneaking up on us, And, well, got a visitor coming. One of those Justicars, as you have told me a little bit about. Doesn't match your description, however. Younger man. Middle-aged, maybe.
I still don't know if I'm keen.
I'm sure that he will have heard of us through his connections, or at least there's a good chance of it.
I remember what I said about casting a net.
When is it due here in town?
Well, I would say at least an hour or two. Not very much time, unfortunately.
Oh, fucking hell. Alright, well, fuck. Kind of... Zavis looks a bit rattled as he kind of looks between the both of you. What do you say? Do we, hightail it or what?
Perhaps, when is this just a car supposed to come in? Eiry says to...
Oh, not exactly sure, but as I said, I think he'll be here within a couple hours. The guard said that he has 3 men with him, heavily armed. I don't think the magistrate would take up arms against the Justicar, even for you all.
Hey, I
That's
couldn't
quite-
imagine.
Do you know what kind of business he could be here for?
I do not know. The magistrate said nothing to me about the Justicar supposed to be coming in, so I can only imagine that, he's here for you.
Oh, well then perhaps we should hightail it out.
Yes.
Hey, alright.
To be honest, I've been packed for a couple days now.
Have you really? Oh, well. Eager, aren't you?
Well, I got itchy feet, what can I say?
That's fair enough. I
But,
must admit, I've had the call as well. But I do have a few things. It won't take me more than a few minutes, though.
Eiry,
What?
I think, I mean, are we gonna, whether or not we leave town together, I'm sure you're gonna want to say goodbye to your sister. You,
Oh,
Yeah.
you'll leave her then.
Would that be an issue?
Oh, not an issue for me, lass. No, I'll take care of her. But there's Justicar finds her and realizes that she's your kin. Well, that might be a problem for her and you.
Hey, Sybil, we were just talking about this. Do you happen to grow anything that could dye really well? You know, maybe like cabbage or something?
Oh, what are you trying to dye? We have some dyes. You can see. He kind of takes his hand and runs it across his red cloak, which would be a fairly unique color for dye. Oh,
Hey, actually, hair, if you have anything for that.
oh, there are some old ladies who dye their hair to keep the grey out. We could get some of that. What color are you looking for? Whose hair are we dyeing? The girls? And he nods to
Eiry kind of like motions to her own hair in all its glory.
Oh, that might be a difficult dye job. Going to need something
well.
dark, eh?
Probably. But I was thinking glitter, to be honest. I mean, it doesn't matter what colour you use, even if it's red, right? As long as you just tell them, oh yeah, you just did it.
Oh.
You know, if they see like, oh, she stopped in and they were doing it to make it nice or something, right? I think they'd buy that. They'd have no way of telling it was proper red anyway.
That might be true. I wonder though if he gives her a stern talking to, will she give herself away? I can't imagine she's that good of spirits. Don't know what her constitution is after the horrible things you've suffered.
I suppose.
do you think she
something
could,
dark if you have it.
perhaps she could hide out at the healer woman's house?
We might have something. Put her in a cellar for a little while.
Would the Justicar have any reason to go snooping about?
Well, if he's looking for you, even though the magistrate didn't answer, well then, I don't know. They must be serious about finding you if that's why they're here. I can only guess, as I say. I don't really know.
It's understandable, and I thank you for your insight. I think perhaps I should take Greta with me. It might be for the best. I don't want to risk her safety just on a possibility.
I suppose. Do you think she's ready for the road, though?
She seems willing, at least, and I don't know. I could probably cover her hair easier than me. Her hair's shorter, and maybe I could cut my own hair or dye it or something myself in the hours before the Justicar comes.
Well, perhaps we could take her out into the woods where all this started, and hide her there until the Justicar leaves. I'm sure our friend, the healer, would do that for you.
Would that... I don't know if going out in the woods is, would that be safe?
I don't know. I get a bad feeling about all that, honestly. I'd rather leave the whole woods just off on their own. But I don't know.
Well, let me know. I'll set up anything you want me to do. But when they...
Now I'll run and get packed.
Alright. When they get here, I'll make sure you know. Unless you can get out of here before they arrive, which probably would be best, huh?
I agree. Perhaps we should aim for leaving before they...
I think as soon as possible would be good.
Do you happen to have some cutting shears?
Oh, of course. Of course.
You're really going through with it then, huh?
I think it might be faster than dyeing it, for sure.
Oh, that seems rightly so. I'll get some from one of the shepherds.
Just make sure you burn what you cut off, I suppose.
Well, that'll stink. I'll make sure I do it far and away.
Better than them finding red locks out back or something.
Oh, that's true.
He looks sad. Kind of looks down at his feet. Oh, kicks his heel with one foot and then looks back up. I'll miss y'all.
I'll miss you as well, friend.
You've been kind to us.
Too, won't you?
Go ahead, Zach.
Yes.
Oh, well, that is my way. That is our way here in Bramptonshire. And once all this settles down, you shall all come back. And if you wish to leave your sister here, we'll take good care of her. I'll hide her, and if the Justicar try to take her, I'll pick up my knife and stab him if I have to.
That's quite kind of you, but I'm not sure... I'd hate to burden you all with such a task that it seems far too... it seems Eiry is lost and unable to fully complete a sentence because she's flustered and emotional and can't really decide on something.
Well, we take care of our own and our friends, and she's our friend. He looks over to Devnet.
Devnet stands up and starts walking over to Sybil. But she turns to Eiry and says, "Perhaps you should talk to Greta and see what she thinks." And then she makes her way over to Sybil and looks down at him quite seriously. "You've done more for us than I could have expected for an... We owe you more than I can say. Thank you." And she seems to be almost blinking back tears. And then she coughs. "So, thank you. If there's ever anything that we can do for you, please try to send word for us." And she leans down and puts a hand on his cheek and gives him a soft kiss on the other cheek.
He is completely quiet as this happens, and his face, which is always very ruddy, right, turns bright red. Well, of course. Of course. And he takes his collar of his shirt and kind of pulls it and stretches it a little bit. Yes. Sybil Eddington, Mayor of Brantfordshire, will always be here for those that need it. And you've all shown yourself as a good sort, and that's why we're here. And me and mine will always protect you if we can, and give you ale when you need it. I should be going to get those shares, and if I don't see you, good luck. And he turns and, without a word, wobbles out the door.
Well, let's meet back here in a short bit after you've had a chance to talk to Greta and you know what you're going to do, Eiry.
All right.
I'm pretty much ready to go, but I think Zav might have some preparations.
A few things, and I'll have to grab that shirt, fucking hell. Well, I'll be...
What did you say? You cut out there for a second.
He said he'll be right back down.
Okay.
He kind of gets to...
Eiry's going to go find Greta.
Eiry walks up the stairs to Greta's room, which you have shared with her for the last 2 weeks. She's laying in bed, the covers pulled up over her shoulders, laying on her side with her hands under her head, almost as if she's praying. Her knees are pulled up towards her chest in the fetal position. The blindfold is pulled off her face, exposing 2 ruins. She lightly breathes, almost a snore, as she sleeps, not knowing the danger that you're all in.
Eiry is going to approach the bedside, and she's not going to keep herself quiet. She'll have her normal footstep just to kind of approach with the purpose of making herself known before she kneels down at the bedside and lightly touches her sister's forearm.
She sighs, waking up and turning onto her back. Eiry. What time is it?
It's, it hasn't been long. It's still... What time of day is it?
Midday.
Okay, she'll relay that. Greta, I have, There's people coming after me, and, it could potentially put you at risk, even here. Now, the people of Brantfordshire have, graciously said that they would protect you and let you stay here if you wish. But if you don't feel comfortable, then we will have to leave here soon.
Would you have told her about the Justicar and everything that happened, or no?
I don't know that she would have burdened her early on, but she might have told her the stories about, everything leading up to the point, but probably not have been like, oh, by the way, they're after me.
Mm-hmm. Greta pushes herself up onto an elbow and then pulls herself back and puts her back against the headboard. after you. How could I go with you? I would only be a burden.
You're never a burden.
She shakes her head. If someone is after you, then I cannot go with you. I would slow you down. I would probably get you caught. If you want to...
I'd find a way.
She shakes her head. How? I cannot see.
I have plans to change my hair. They're only tracking me based on my appearance and who I'm with. And I'm, Devnet and Zavis are going off on their own, and it could work.
They're going off on their own. Well, if they come upon us, there'll be no way to protect ourselves. No. I'll stay here. I'll pretend I'm you.
No, don't pretend you're me. Just don't even associate with me. Keep your hair covered. I'll tell them to cover your hair, perhaps with a hat or something. Just don't associate with me at all. Pretend like you don't even know my name.
Oh. Alright.
It'll be better for you. They might ask you questions. They might even take you hostage again if you try to say that you're my sister, or even that you know me. Just pretend that you don't know me.
She nods, looking, her head bows down as if she's looking into her lap. I will.
Eiry is going to hand over her knife to Greta.
Oh, don't do that. When she realizes what you're doing. I won't need it.
You need it. Just in case.
Sister, I can barely peel an apple. Who am I going to
Just
stab?
If somebody comes after you, just hit him with the pointy end.
She takes a deep breath as if she doesn't want to argue. Alright. You should leave if they're here or coming soon.
They're coming soon. The mayor's going to get you settled someplace safe in the meantime until the Justicar leaves. And if the Justicar comes around, he promised he'd protect you.
I believe it. He seems a good sort.
He's an honest man.
Alright. Well, guess this is goodbye.
Just for now. I'll see you again.
I'll see you again. She smiles, but the smile is unsure, forced, sad.
Eiry takes Greta's hand and gives it a little squeeze for assurance. I'll see you again, I promise.
She nods.
Eiry then takes her leave a little bit reluctantly as she lingers at the door, but then just decides to leave right then, or else she'll just stay forever.
You duck out of the door, and Greta does not call after you or say anything. You head back down into the tavern. And what were the rest of you doing?
Zavis rushes up to his room, kind of gathers up what little he had set aside from his pack, and very quickly, begins kind of hauling it over his shoulder, and running down, pulling his doublet and everything back on. Kind of as he staggers down the stairs, trying to keep everything in order. And eventually heading out and grabbing the shirt from out back where it was supposed to be hanging. Kind of just shoving it in his pack. And then takes to look in to make sure Devnet's ready as well.
Devnet headed up to her room, and like she had indicated, she had her pack pretty much ready. She grabs the sword that she's been using and fastens on a sheath and sheaths it. Makes sure she's got all her throwing knives. Makes up the bed as best she can with one arm. She grabs her pack, slings it over her good shoulder, walks to the door and gives one last look to the room that's been her home for the past long while. And she heads back downstairs.
At about that time, you all make your way into the tavern, more or less at the same time, or enough so that you're not waiting very long as the others get there. Sybil has not returned yet with the shears, and you are once again alone.
How much time would you say has passed?
Oh, probably 15 minutes, not that long.
Oh!
Yeah. You just went and had a conversation and grabbed your stuff and ran back down. Not very long.
Okay, cool.
So, what's the plan then?
Well, Well, I guess you two can go on. I'm probably going to wait for the cut and shear.
What did you decide, you and your sister?
She's gonna stay. She's gonna stay here. She thinks that she'll just hold me back.
Well, maybe it's for the best. Wouldn't be able to travel very fast.
I'd still do it in a heartbeat.
I know you would. Well, we have to wait too much longer. You can just take one of my knives and have Zav hack it away, but I was hoping for a less slipshod job.
I honey practicing a bit, so can they give any good guarantees? So I suppose he'd be better than most plebeians, eh?
Can't believe we're actually parting ways. I'm gonna miss you.
Aye. It's been good travelling with you, Eiry. If you ever need anything, you know how to contact.
I'm sure I'll meet you again at some point. Sure.
Oh, aye.
But until then, who knows what kind of trouble we'll get in without our conscience with us. Who's gonna help us know the right from wrong without you there?
Oh, just imagine me there.
That'll do. I'll just think to myself, what would Eiry do?
Be too kind and look dashing with her red hair.
Well, I think I might be able to manage a little bit of the first.
Just don't go getting sick or hurting yourself anymore. Not until you find someone who can heal you.
Aye. Well, if all goes well, it'll not be any issue. Anyway, though, do be careful on the road. And Zavis kind of approaches her and kind of just no lead up or anything, just kind of wraps his arms up around her back at an angle so that he's not grabbing her arse, and kind of just squeezes pretty tight. And it's actually pretty alarming how tight his grip is before he then
Eiry embraces him just the same and then kind of pulls Devnet in to a big group hug.
Devnet isn't at all reluctant. She'll come forward and put her good arm around your shoulders and lean into the hug. Well, I don't know what else to say, she says, pulling back.
Be safe.
Safe as can be expected in this world. May the gods be with you, Eiry Gull.
May the wind be always at your back.
Hey, Freyr, I'll keep watch over the both of you, and I'll do the same. And Eiry, I'll give some tips to Dryden. Anything you want me to add? Particular cologne you like? He has a wry smile as he says this, looking up at her.
Could you repeat that last bit? I think you cut up there.
He asked her if there was a particular cologne she likes in regards to letting Dryden know some things.
Cologne? I'm not sure I'm following.
Oh, well, you never know. I mean, he can get a bit ripe, killing monsters and all. Figured you might appreciate it.
Eiry's kind of like, her brows furrowed. She's picking up what he's putting down, but she's not really
he has a shit-eating grin on his face by this point.
He's not gonna make a comment, but kind of like do an awkward little
As you are having this conversation, Edwin walks back in with a pair of shears. Oh, there we go. He's clearly out of breath. Sybil had me run out to one of the far fields. He's not much of a runner. Neither am I. Today,
thank you.
Today I wished I had less than one punch, Here you go.
Oh, thank you kindly. Eiry's going to take the cutting shears. You didn't have to run, but...
Well, I've got small legs, you see, and... Well, I wanted to get here as fast as I could. They're getting pretty close. I saw the dust kicking up. Don't know how they got here so fast.
Oh dear. Well...
Hey, we'll get a move on.
No more time for sentiments. Thank you, Slim, for the knife-throwing lessons and for everything. Please, take Greta out to the forest. Or at least take her to the healer and have her or her doctor do it.
Well, don't worry, we'll take care of her. You just get your ass out of here, huh?
Zavis kind of gives him a heavy pat on the shoulder. Hey. And you do well, Edwin. You do well.
Devnet gives Eiry another little shoulder squeeze and a little kiss on the cheek and says, well, this is it. Goodbye. No more time for goodbyes, so that... just be careful.
You be careful too.
She starts heading toward the door.
Zavis gives Eiry a nod and a smile and continues as well after Dev.
Eiry is going to collect all of her things and then just gonna chop her hair off right there, but like keep the locks and then like take it with her so that she can burn it later, but like just do her.
Yeah,
It'll be about shoulder length.
Yeah, you kind of haphazardly cut your own hair. Oh, I can help you with that. And Edwin helps where he can. And this many years of growing this long red hair is suddenly taken in an instant.
Eiry doesn't really give it too much thought, even as she holds what's left of the lower part in her hands. Well, thank you for your help. I best be going.
Well, get out of here. I'll take care of your sister. Don't worry about it. Go.
Thank you so much. And she's going to just take off, kind of in a hurry.
The three of you scatter, with Devnet and Zavis heading in one direction and Eiry heading in another. The road comes in from the west. So which way would you guys be going? The east is obviously where the forest is.
Which way is closer to taking us to the tower?
I think that'd be north.
Yeah, Haldor's up north.
You came from the,
so that'd be the way.
Orion is to the south and all that junk where you guys were before.
I think Dev's instinct would be to head through the forest and then go north.
Yeah, Zavis seems a bit reluctant at first, but eventually acquiesces and even kind of playfully almost initiates a foot race. So.
Eiry?
Which way is Adler's Well?
Let's find out. I think it's north, but let me see. Is that in Verdun or? Let's look. Adler's Well, not in there, so it must be in Citrus. Yeah, north.
All
Yeah.
right, well,
Multiple roads heading out, so.
awkward.
Right?
Well,
What's that?
we're
What's
like
awkward?
Well,
Everybody
we're all
goes
going
east
the same
and then
direction.
north. Well, not necessarily. I mean, we're going east then north. And
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna kind of hug the forest, so.
I think Eiry's going to go to places that she's familiar with, or like just thinking about where she's, what she can do with the resources she has. So she'll probably start heading up towards Adler's Well.
Okay.
Makes sense.
Alright, let's see here. I don't want that. I want that. You each break away from Brynfordshire, heading east and north. And you do indeed see a dust cloud in the distance as riders approach. Would you like to try to see what is going on, or are you just heading out as quickly as possible?
if we were able to see anything from the cover of the forest, that would be one thing, but certainly not just hanging out in the open.
Yeah, Zavis is definitely going with the idea of if we can see them, they could see us.
Or
Yeah, I don't think Eiry is going to take any chances, and she's just gonna book.
yeah. Your backs are turned and well away before the riders reach Brynfordshire. Your path leads away from this place of tranquility, but also obvious despair from what's occurred here. And you certainly will never forget this place and what happened. But for now, your paths diverge. And you head north and east, and wherever your path may take you. But certainly, your stories don't end here, and have just begun. But for now, the tale of 10 blades and the consequences of your vengeance has ended. And that is all for tonight.